A dinosaur paleontologist goes on a tower with a big invisor, but he discovers that he has a farm from it. Our movie starts with farm workers in a big forest, and they wait for a big iron cage to come down to them, and when box comes down, they get the animal inside it out to enter his cage that it will live in. But suddenly, the worker pulls and the animal eats him. Because of this accident, the worker's family is making a big case on the protectorate, and they ask for compensation worth $20 million. And the lawyer of the institution comes to meet John, the owner of the protectorate, to inform him of the latest developments of the case. But while he walks, he finds a lot of workers busy digging and excavating, and he can't find John because one of the workers can find a hole for a fly, but her condition is still the same, as if it is saved in the candles. And at another place, and we see the scientist Grant with his lover and his assistant the scientist Ellie, and they are in the desert to explore a new fossils of dinosaurs, and they find a big hole. So Grant is so happy. He also has a lot of guides to explain some information about dinosaurs, but it seems that he doesn't like children because they annoy him by intruding them. But Grant showed that he is good at his field because through a simple fossil he can know the type of the dinosaur, and he says a lot of information about it as if he sees it in front of him. But when he explains to one of the children, he said that he imagines this dinosaur like a big chicken and that they don't differ much from each other. So Grant starts to explain that. And he said, imagine if you were alone in the forest with a creature like the one you call a chicken. What will you be like? And because it's the one who eats meat, he can eat you and cut you easily. And all of this while you are alive because he enjoys torturing the victim in front of him. So the child is afraid after he hears Grant, and he doesn't know how to reply to him again. So Grant walks with Ellie, and she said that he must be good in dealing a little with children. So he tells that children are intrusive creatures, and he doesn't like these types of humans. After a while, they find a helicopter coming from far away. So Grant is afraid that the intense air maybe ruined the hole that we just found. So he runs to the plane to stop it and shout with the driver, but the driver tells that he must go to his caravan because someone wants to meet him. So Grant goes to see who is waiting him, but he is very fanatic. When he finds an old man deals with the caravan as if it was his home, and this is Mr. Joe. Also Ellie comes in screaming and cursing, so Grant tries to calm down here and tells her that this is Mr. Joe. So she tries to help Joe in any way and apologizes to him. Then Joe tells them that he is the one who finances their scholarships for a long time, but now he needs them to go with him to his protectorate because he wants them to trust their signature on official papers so the Racep can stay working at the best two in their field and the government will trust them. But Grant objects at the beginning because he has a lot of exploration and wants to discover more excavations. So Joe offers him a lot of money, but Grant also refuses. At the time, Joe tells them that he will fund their campaigns for 3 years ahead, so they are happy and agree immediately. Later we find someone named Dennis, and he works in Joe's reserve, and the one responsible for the entire security system is there. Someone comes to Dennis and give him a bag of money, and he tells that he will take $1 million and have if he brings them some DNA from the reserve. So Dennis is very happy because if he worked all his life, he would not have brought all this amount. Then Grant and Ellie travel with Joe on his plane, but this time they have a lawyer from the institution and another scientist named Malcolm, the one who seems to be smart, but he's a little silly. Anyway, Joe keeps talking about his protectorate and that he never built anything in it, and he always paid what was asked of him. But the lawyer wants to close this reserve because of what happened to the worker before, and this is the challenge between him and Joe. Later, they arrived at the reserve and they embarrassed by the amount of protection that is in the place. And also Joe tells that the place is surrounded by electric wall that exceeds 10,000 volts. And the lawyer talks to Joe, but he keeps making fun of his protectorate, and he said that he wishes to see his protected area closed so that he doesn't continue to cause danger to the people. But Joe tells him that after 24 hours he will wait for his apology for this talk. and while they are in the way, suddenly their cars stop, and they all stay amazed by what they see, except Grant, whose eye will come out of its place because of a dinosaur from eating grass which he watches. But this time it's not a hole. It lives in front of him and eats. And because Grant wished to see a dinosaur from a long time ago, he keeps looking at it because they became extinct a long time ago and all they knew about them were just fossils. Then they get out of the car to look at the dinosaur, and Joe goes down behind them and tells them, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." Then they arrive a place like the control center in the reserve, and Joe starts to show them everything he did and how formed this protectorate from scratch. So they enter the semi-cinema room and they watch a documentary movie of him while he's telling the story, and he tells that the dinosaurs did not exist in the first place to extract their DNA, and this was for everyone a vague question, until he explains to them that over the years the mosquito was standing on the bodies of living creatures and take blood from them in addition to dinosaurs also. But the idea is that the mosquito used to go stand on the tree, and sometimes trees are full of glue. When the glue falls on it, it saves it from death and even the liquids inside it too, and they were looking for these mosquitoes to extract the blood of dinosaurs from it, and that one drop of blood is filled with millions of DNA through which they can make a dinosaur. But there is a problem, which is that there are some acids that are not complete, so they replace the missing part of DNA from the frogs because it's a creature that can live with any environmental conditions, and it was easy for its DNA to mix with any other DNA. So Grant and Ellie is impressed, but Malcolm is as afraid of the few things, and there are many questions going on his mind. Then Joe completes and decides to take them on a tower to see the lab where they do all this. But when Grant sees this development and also dinosaur eggs, which is the first time he sees it, he can't hold himself, and he and Ellie quickly enter to watch. Then they stand in front of the nest of eggs, and there is a machine that keeps turning eggs in its place. But what attracted them more is an egg that hatches, and the doctors who are there will finish their shift, but one of them is worried that he wouldn't see this egg while it's hatching. Then Joe comes out the little dinosaur of the egg and tells them that the dinosaur familiar with the first face it meets, and all the dinosaurs here are female. So Malcolm is surprised and asks Joe how he can control their sex. So the doctor explains to him that it's common of a certain stage of development and removes the chromosomes responsible for determining sex and makes the creature stop till this. But Malcolm tells that no one can handle nature and that no matter how hard they try, they will not be able to prevent the development that is supposed to happen, and he has some question in his mind. Later, Joe takes them to a dinosaur place. This is one of the most dangerous species that exist, so he showed them it while they feed him. But when the cow calms down, the machine is destroyed, and he tells that he must eat it immediately so that isn't dangerous against them. So Grant is impressed because he was able to make species of Tyrannosaurus. Later Joe takes them to lunch, but Malcolm isn't happy and tells that what they are doing is dangerous and they must let nature take its course because dinosaurs goes extinct and the human is the one who builds the universe and they shouldn't live together. That's going to be dangerous because dinosaurs are predators and the human is an ordinary person, and tells Joe that he will regret it. So Joe asks Grant for his opinion. Grant said he can't make the decision and that he is still unable to determine is the dinosaur worth living in this time with human or not. Then a worker enters to inform Joe that his grandchildren have arrived because of the tower he promised them and whose names are Lex and Tim. Later Joe tells that he prepares a tower for them and they will go around to reserve to see the animals, and with them is the lawyer so that he listens to them and cancels the case. Then they prepare themselves for the tower, but Tim follows Grant because he wants to ride with him in the same car and tells that he likes him and he read a last book he published. So Grant thanks him and tries to run away from him and asks him which car he will ride in. And when he runs away from him, he finds Lex standing in front of him, and she tells that Ellie is the one who sent it to him because she told her that he loves children. Then they start their tower, and from within the roof they meet the place of Tyrannosaurus, and who's surrounded by a high wall of electricity so that he doesn't escape. And they know that the dinosaur doesn't attack the place that causes danger except once, because he wants to know if he will be able to escape from this place or not. And all it does is look for a weak point. And here, Joe stops the cars to let them watch the dinosaur while it's eating, and he goes out a goat to lure the dinosaur with it, but nothing appears. So Grant tells them that the dinosaur isn't the type that anyone can lure, so he eats when he wants to eat. So they decide to continue the tower and let it eat whenever he likes. Later, they see a car from far away in the middle of the reserve, and next to it is a dinosaur. So they all get out of the car to go see it, and it's the same type that Grant loved when he was young, but this is the first time he sees it on the nature. Then Ellie starts investigating, and she sees the dinosaur while he is tired, but she notes that there is a poisonous plant from India that is in the reserve, so she suspected that the dinosaur ate from it, so it's tired. And when she looks at his menu, she doesn't find anything, so she is revealed a little bit, but she feels something else. On the other side, Joe is with the officials of the reserve, and they say that there are malfunctions in the cars of the tower, and they should fix it when it comes back. So Joe blames Dennis because he doesn't take care of his work well, and if he was focused he would have discovered the faults earlier. But so that Dennis only makes the difference to him, his salary and the money he gets, and asks Joe for more money in his capacity as the only engineer responsible for the security of the system of the protectorate. But he refuses his request. After a while, Dennis asks to go to the bathroom and get something to drink, and tells them that to fix the malfunctions on the reserve, he will stop all the electricity for 5 minutes, and assures them that if it's caught, it will come back again quickly. But a little bit we discover that Dennis is going to take the DNA samples from the lab to get it to the man who gave him a lot of money, and he makes the excuse of the faults to cut the electricity and the cameras don't take pictures. Then Dennis arrives to the lab and starts putting the sample as he wants, and on the other side, Grant and the rest are back to the cars except Ellie, who decides to stay with the doctor to check the dinosaurs. And because there is a big storm coming to the whole island, the situation is worried, especially for Joe, who is worried about his grandchildren. And when the electricity goes off, he increases his fear more, and he asks more Dennis, but he can't find him anywhere. So they try to operate the protection system in any way, but Dennis made it with a secret code, so no one can open it except him only. Later, Dennis drives the car quickly, and because he wears glasses, so he doesn't see well in the rain, until so he slips and hits a sign that shows him the way of the gate. So the plate falls and he goes down to adjust it, but he doesn't know where the right direction is, and when then he enters to any direction, and after a while he discovered that he entered the wrong direction, and also his car falls in hole, and use her crane to get out. But he discovered that he is in the middle of dinosaur house from the meat eaters, so he tries to get out quickly and goes any trick to get the dinosaurs away from him. But when he gets in the car and closes the door, he discovers that the dinosaur is with him and attacks him and eats him. On the other side, Joe is very fanatic because the system is protecting the people in the protectorate, and this way the dinosaurs will be able to get out of their place and kill their grandchildren. So he tries to find any solution. Later, Grant and the rest is still in cars, and suddenly the electricity goes off, so the cars break down. Even telephones and radio are also down, so they will not be able to reach the place of protection. But after a while, Tim watches the reserve, and suddenly he feels that sound of something moving, and when he looks at the glass of water, he finds it shaking, and this means that there is a huge creature that comes close to them. And when he looks around, he finds the wall of the dinosaur broken and falls on top of the car. A part of the leg of the goat on on them. And once the dinosaur appears in front of them, so Lex screams and the liar goes running to escape, and the liar goes running to escape, and he enters the bathroom in the area to hide in it. So the dinosaur comes back again, and because Lex keeps screaming, he attacks the car. So Grant fears for them and goes down to help them and throw a fire to the dinosaur to go after it. So really the plan succeeds, but not for a long time. But Grant runs to the car to save Tim and Lex, but he finds the dinosaur coming back to them again. And at the time, Malcolm gets out of the car and decides to sacrifice himself to save Grant and the kids. So he lights the flame and runs with it in front of the dinosaur. So he runs after him, but he drops it under the leaves. But unfortunately for the liar, the dinosaur breaks the place and sees him, so it eats him. And it comes back again, attacking Grant and the car. So quickly Grant holds the legs and gets off the power cord, and Tim stays inside the car, but the dinosaur drops the car with him. And when Grant gets down, he finds the car hanging on the tree, so he goes to save Tim. So he climbs the tree and finds him imprisoned, so he tries to save him, and when they get down, the car drops behind them quickly on the ground. And miraculously, Grant and Tim can survive in their lives, so he decides they will sleep on the tree tonight until they find a solution in the morning, or someone gives them a ride, and climb the highest tree in the whole reserve. And they find the dinosaur with a long neck, and because Grant loves it, so he enjoys watching it, unlike Lex, who's afraid of him. So Grant tries to calm down her and makes her get close to it, but dinosaur sneezes in her face, and this appeals on Tim a lot. We go back to Joe and the rest, and they try to find a solution to see his grandchildren and Grant, and Ellie arrives with the guard and knows what happened to Grant, so she decides to go with the hunter to save them. And when they arrive at their place, they find it destroyed and there is no trace of them. When they search the place, they discover Malcolm, who find him alive but injured in the leg, so they take him with them in the car, and they leave him in it and continue looking for the list. But when they are looking, Malcolm hears the sound of the dinosaur coming close, so he calls them to leave quickly. So quickly they get in the car and run away, but the dinosaur runs after them until the hunter can run away from him and gets them back. And they try to treat Malcolm, and Ellie gives him an anesthetic injection to sleep, and they stay up all night looking for a solution. The next day Grant wakes up, and the kids and they see a dinosaur from eating grass as he comes to eat from their tree. So Grant gets up happily and he feeds it too with his hand, and he takes the children and moves them to go to the command center. While they walk, Grant notices that the eggs of the dinosaur that is still hatched, so he talks to himself and says that it's impossible for this to happen because Zeus said all the dinosaurs were females, so there is nothing that makes them multiply. And he remembers that, and he remembers just talk to him that they mix the DNA of the frogs with the acids of the dinosaurs, and that there are types of frogs that can coexist with the environment they are in, and also develop to return himself into a male or a female. So there is reproduction, and certainly there are dinosaurs that have transformed and succeeded in this. At the same time, Joe thinks how he will be able to control the reserve again, and one of those with him tells that they can restore the protection system by turning off the electricity completely and turn it on again. So he decides to fire her from the center, and really this is what he's going. But when he tries to get it back, he couldn't, and this causes fear for all of them, especially Joe and Ellie. So Joe's assistant decides to go to the underground room to turn on the main transformer before the dinosaurs discover that there is no electricity and they attack them, and he moves immediately toward the store, but the assistant is late. That's why the guard decides to go check on him, but Ellie insists to go with him. When they go, the guard is suspected that there is something watching them, and he asks Ellie to run fast towards the store, and he's going to stop the dinosaurs. And she runs quickly and succeeds in reaching and entering to look for the road. As for the goalkeeper, he keeps watching the dinosaur, and he thinks that he's the only one, so he approaches him to kill him, but suddenly another dinosaur appears to him and kills him. Then Ellie walks on Joe's description on on the wireless, but his words don't appeal to Malcolm because he explains in a strange way. So he takes the wireless from Joe and explains to Ellie in an easy way until she reaches the panel and starts to do as Joe says so that the electricity works. At the same time, Grant and the kids arrive at the dinosaur house from the meat eaters, but there is a high electricity wall, and when Grant is assured that the electricity is off, he decides to jump off it, but the dinosaur comes close to them and they hear his voice, so they all run quickly to the wall, and Ella tries to run on the electricity, and Grant and the kids who try to get down quickly because the one who's touched the electricity will die immediately, and at the last moment that Ellie reaches the electricity and turn it on, so Tim falls to the ground and unconscious. So Grant is trying to wake him up in any way he can, and he keeps doing artificial respiration until in the end he wakes up. As for Ellie, she finds dinosaurs attacking her from everywhere, so she tries to run away quickly until she can escape from the storeroom, but she walks in the middle of the reserve. Later, Grant gets to the driving restaurant and the kids get into it, and he asks them to wait until he looks for someone to help them. But when he leaves the restaurant, he meets Ellie, so they run to hug each other. As for kids, they find a dinosaur coming toward them. At the time, they run away quickly from it and try to hide until Grant and Ellie reach them and take them and run away from the roof. But the dinosaurs are very smart and they can't locate them, but they escape to the main restaurant, and suddenly a dinosaur appears in front of them, bigger than the ones they were running after them, and it get into a war with the little dinosaurs. So Grant takes advantage of the opportunity and takes the kids to Ellie and runs away until they get to Joe and Malcolm. So they ask for a plane and run away from the whole island. Later, Grant said to Joe it doesn't agree with his project at all. But the surprise is that Joe learned from the lesson and will not violate nature again. And that's our movie ends today. You love action, suspense, mystery, we have it. Also exists in the comment menu. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And that's it. Bye bye.